Basement of La Penta. It's WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe Archino, and I'm asking the question, do you ever feel lucky? And I think a lot of times in our lives, we experience things, we have experiences where we just consider ourselves to be extremely lucky. And I know for myself personally that's been the case in many, but I think sometimes it's the time that you grow up in which shapes a lot of those experiences and those opportunities that you're thankful for. And certainly in the world of sports, growing up in certain eras gives you it informs your perspective. I think when you look at a lot of people who grew up in the 90s, well, that kind of helps shape your sports perception now, and you look at it a little bit differently than somebody that would have grown up during the 2000s era, growing up a little bit differently. It's all a matter of perspective, and that perspective is drawn from the era of sports that you're born into and that you're raised into. And I think certainly for me, I could not be more thankful and more grateful to grow up in this era now. And I was thinking about it. I was on a run the other day, and I was kind of thinking about this. Now, obviously, you kind of wish you could have experienced it as it happened live, the Jordan era. Obviously, you would have loved to have been able to grow up and seen the Bird and Magic duels as those happened. The Montana era, the Yankees with Mantle and DiMaggio and Maris and all of those. But I think we're in a pretty darn good one here too. Now, obviously, kind of got me to start to think about it because of Lionel Messi, and for me, I think there's two great athletes in my lifetime that I'll never forget, and I'm thankful. I really am thankful every single day that I get to watch their careers play out during my time. And that's Messi and that's LeBron James. But since yesterday was Messi's birthday, I'm going to stick with Messi for now. And I think there's an incredible power that a guy like a Messi or a LeBron has, in the sense that you could attract fans to a sport they really previously didn't have much interest in based on that one guy. Now, I think the biggest case I'm thinking about is with my dad, because for me, I got into the soccer game a little bit later in life than a lot of people, and now I just live and breathe and sleep it. And my dad, he always joked with me a little bit. It wasn't always too big into it, but I think he has started to really just enjoy the game. And I think the biggest reason for that has been Messi. And I think if you're trying to get anybody to come over to any sport, obviously you're going to show them the best players. But there's some players that just take it to another level, that just it captures your attention, and you can never ever look away. I think baseball's different. Look, it's fun to see Mike Trout and Giancarlo Stanton and Yasiel Puig and these other guys, but they're not on for a long enough stretch where you could really just grasp their greatness. I think Messi gives that to you. LeBron gives that to you. On every single play, LeBron's doing something, then you're looking and you're just amazed. Messi, it's all the same. Every single time he touches the ball, and your jaw drops. And I think I'm grateful that he's 28 after yesterday. We've still got a lot of time left. LeBron, too. Some people at this finals were saying that LeBron, it's kind of coming down to it. Not really. Look, he's still got another five prime years left in him where he's still playing at this level. I don't think until he's 36, 37, we're really going to start to see a much different, maybe 36. Until around that time, I still think this is the LeBron we know, and it's the one we're going to continue to see. But Messi, it just, when you start to watch him, and as I started to get into soccer, it just kind of almost, you can't take your eyes away. And that's the thing that the best of the best do, is they do things that no one else can do. They have a touch in their game and a finesse about them that just can't be replicated by anyone else. And I mean, I think if you look for soccer, which is obviously the most popular sport in the world, I think Messi is kind of that perfect ambassador for it, because he really, I mean, when he doesn't talk a lot, he's very quiet, doesn't have a heavy social media presence aside from his Instagram account, which he doesn't use too often, but every once in a while. He's the perfect guy, just because I think he's so down to earth, and he said it. I mean, when you do get those rare interview opportunities, he does say, "Look, I'm just a normal person like everybody else." Now, he obviously has a lot more fame than everybody else, a lot more money than everybody else. But I truly believe, you could tell a lot about a person sometimes just in the way that they walk and the way that they carry their words. And there's some guys who are just phonies, and you can tell when they're phonies. But there's some guys that when you look and you just look at the whole body of work, you can tell which ones are genuine or not. And I really do think that if you follow Messi, you get that sense where, look, he's quiet. He's not out there flashy, showboating. I think this is a guy where family is everything to him. This is a guy where he just has a supernatural ability on the pitch, on the football field, the soccer field, whatever you want to call it. And we are all so lucky to watch. And again, I look at these eras, and I look at the ones I saw. It would have been great to grow up and experience that as it happened. Would have been great to see this happen, this run, the 56-game hitting streak. Oh, man, what if you grew up during that era and you followed it day after day? But I think, if you're around my age, I'm 21, if you're around this age and you've seen and you've grown up in this sports era, I think you've got it pretty good. I mean, if you're a fan of basketball, if you're a fan of football, even with Manning and Brady, I think we've had it pretty good. And it's interesting. I think, everybody always kind of talks about eras, but I think if you kind of stack it up in terms of which ones have been the most exciting, the most thrilling, I think we could give anyone a run for its money. I really do. I mean, maybe not all the sports, baseball certainly not, but I do think, look, when you have guys like LeBron and Messi out there, that's certainly, I mean, for those two respective sports, I'd take these two eras more than any. And the one interesting about Messi, too, is you can't talk about Messi without talking about his eternal rival, Ronaldo. All the other great soccer players in history, the Maradonas and the Peles, they never really ever had that rival where he was compared to at every twist and turn. Even the same with Michael during the 90s. Now, Michael was the undisputed king, and there was a lot of great players when Michael played. I mean, Olajuwon, there was so many good ones, but there really wasn't any that could challenge him. LeBron now, also to an extent, there isn't another NBA player who's even at the same level. There's good ones like Curry and Durant out there, but there's no one who's matching him in that level. But Messi does. Now, he's still the best, the undisputed king like LeBron is, but Ronaldo is also as good as it gets and is a close too, but he is still behind Messi in many departments. And it's just other things that just fuel into that idea of this era that we're living in, how good of one it is of a sports to be thankful and grateful for. And Messi certainly is. I mean, and the one thing that I think that I always tell people that just shows you how good and how exciting he can be is he cannot score there can be times where he could just win and not score. And to win and not have to score to win just shows you how dominant he is on every single possession. Just if a guy is able to entertain so much just with their ability to pass, that's something special, and that's something that not a lot of people can do. And it's the same with with the LeBron type thing. When LeBron, I mean, the way that he could get the ball to his teammates and the way that he could just take command of an offense on the floor. It's just something no one else can do. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? We all want to watch things that no one else can do. And certainly Messi, LeBron, guys like that do things no one else can do. And it just always grateful for. It's an interesting conversation because, look, there's a lot of people of different ages who listen to my shows and who've grown up in all different eras. And I'm always kind of curious, which one, obviously, when we grow up, and I think from age 10 to like 20, maybe your 30s is when you create your sports moments. Everybody's going to have their own personal moments that they'll never forget. For me, it's when LeBron won his first championship. I mean, I'll never forget where I was sitting, the position I was sitting in, and just my reaction to it. It's something that I think once we all have those moments, and they're all unique to us, and I think that'll play a large part into our eras. But I always think it's interesting to see how those eras span over our lives and change, because you've had some people who've grown up and they've seen the Jordan era. Now they're living the LeBron era and things of that nature. But I just think eras are very interesting. The way that they shape our perceptions about sports going forward into the future are interesting. You see it all the time, especially in baseball with the old school fans who are just so resistant to change. And I think, look, people like us who grown up in a more era willing to change and adapt, that's not our perception. Their perception grew up differently, and it's built on something different. And changing that is not easy. But it's all interesting, and it's one of the great things about sports. At the end of the day, it's that entertainment factor of it. It's something special. I mean, there's moments in sports that I know people just wish they could relive over again. Not the losses, but the wins. Everybody has those moments, and they always come. I mean, there can be disappointment. Everybody goes through those bitter disappointments, but you always have those moments, and those moments that matter and we'll never forget. And certainly Lionel Messi, for me, and I know for a whole lot of a heck of people, has created those moments. But that is it for this segment. Coming back with a lot more NBA talk. The airwaves are just insane with player evaluation. I mean, before I kind of cut to break, I've been pretty clear about it. I've done a lot of shows on it. To me, I'm not too hot on the Porzingis guys, the guys like Mario Hezonja. You take the guys like Jahlil Okafor, even though I'm not too big of a fan on him either. You take the D'Angelo Russells. Those are the ones I think at the end of the day, those are the ones you trust. But more on that in a minute. I'll be right back.